You are listening to Vitality with Marilyn, a podcast about health, wellness, and all things vitality. Having set herself free from life routines, embraced a healthy lifestyle, and lost an incredible 90 pounds in under a year, Marilyn is now supporting others looking to live their best life. Here to tell her transformative story and engage in enlightening and inspirational conversations, here she is, Marilyn.
I want to take a bit of time to talk about why, at what moment it's the right time to start. Because realistically, there's never going to be a right time. I think that we all know more than we think we do, and we're all kind of ready to, we have enough information. Most people, anyways, have enough information to get started to make healthy choices. If we're thinking about weight loss as an outcome to leading a healthy lifestyle, then that will come. It'll be one of the natural outcomes. So by focusing on today, what decisions can you make today? What changes can you make today that you didn't make yesterday? And starting small, whether it's on the food you eat. So thinking about, is the food that I'm eating nutritious, and is it fuel my body to get through the activities I need to do today, and kind of starting there and reducing. You don't need to cut out everything, but my opinion, my experience is, if you reduce things like sugar, which refined sugar, which doesn't really add much value to your daily diet, or trans fats or anything like that. So we know that fruits and vegetables are good for us. That protein helps to fuel us, and that there's certain things about refined carbs that is harder to digest, which therefore sometimes leads to, one, it's higher calories than some other food. And I want to be careful around carbohydrates, because there's a lot of controversy, and I will never say you need to eat low carbs or whatever, but I think you need to be aware of what you eat. So getting started by fueling your body and moving your body. That's the basics of things. You need to move, and you need to eat.
Yeah, I like breaking it down as basic as that, because I feel like when you try and start something, like trying to be healthy, whether it's, weight loss, whatever, I feel like you get too ahead of yourself, and you're like, okay, what are the milestones I'm going to hit? So just trying to think about the goals you're going to reach and how to not get too ahead of yourself and make it so you're not setting yourself up for failure in the future.
Yeah, there's so much information to navigate. So if you're looking to understand it all, or if you're like me and very analytical, is which way is the best way for me, then it's going to be hard to get started. And I think in terms of goals, we need to be realistic with ourselves. And what I done for me at the beginning is okay, I need to set new, I know you've heard it, you've all heard it, you need to create new habits. But also I have to bear in mind, and I've mentioned it in the intro, but all the while, when I started, I also found out that I was gluten intolerant, which gluten, there's a lot in a lot of things, but mainly in breads and cereals and things like that. So I had to think about everything I was eating. It is important to think about what we're eating, and then you can set. Anyways, you can go back to the goal setting. It's just doing better than yesterday, doing better than yourself than yesterday, moving more, and then whatever way you have to track that, it's all a win. So and there's this thing that I saw about with Simon Sinek recently, and it was an older thing that he had, and maybe we can link it. And he's talking about how people go to the gym, and then you work out one day and you don't see a change, and then the next day you don't see a change. And he was talking about love, and how do I know that, and I'm probably saying this all wrong, and Apologies to Simon Sinek, but and I probably don't even say his name properly, but I'm a big fan of his.
If you go to the gym and you work out and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing. And if you go to the gym the next day and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing. So clearly there's no results, can't be measured, it must not be effective. So we quit. Or if you fundamentally believe that this is the right course of action and you stick with it, you commit yourself to an act of service. You commit yourself to the regime, the exercise. You can screw it up. You can eat chocolate cake one day, you can skip a day or two, but if you stick with it consistently, I'm not exactly sure what day, but I know you'll start getting into shape. Going to the gym for 9 hours does not get you into shape. Working out every day for 20 minutes gets you into shape. It's not about the events. It's not about intensity. It's about consistency.
But the thing is that you do these small changes without seeing the immediate results, and that's what it is about. So if your goals need to be targeted and your expectations need to be in line with that, and realistically, if you just do better than you did yesterday for your health, for yourself, moved your body, you went for a small walk, it can be a block at the beginning, it can be anything, then you're making progress. Progress can be defined in multiple ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think holding yourself accountable can be tough though. So it's like it's like doing it all on your own. You know, it kind of feels like a huge mountain to climb.
Yeah, and it is, and that's part of why I want to build a community with this, because, like I've said, as much as you can have friends and family that are encouraging you, it can be very lonely. There's also, which I've said before and I will continue to say over and over, lean on the experts 100%. There's experts in everything. I've leaned on the expertise for nutrition, for exercise. I work with a personal trainer several times a week. Physiotherapy, I initially started seeing her for migraines because of basically I had an injury in my neck and my back that caused the migraines, and then it progressed into having her help on different things that were problematic on my body, like long-term issues that I didn't realize were still affecting me today and were affecting my ability to progress in my fitness journey. As psychologists and psychotherapists, and that goes like the whole spectrum of therapists. There is so many experts. If you think of any topics, there's people experts on the matter. And it's funny to think about, like, if you think about the fact, like, you know, if you own a home or rent a home and then, you know, there's something to fix on it. Same thing with a car. Typically, you'll either go to, you know, the construction worker or your mechanics or so on and say, like, I need help. But when it comes to our health and us individual, it's almost like most of us feel the need to be an expert on it. There's people that spend many, many years in university or college and or certifications after certification to really understand the complexity of nutrition and how the body works and so on. So it's okay. It's okay to seek that support. And I feel like the more we have going on, you know, family, careers, and so on, the more we need to. And maybe it's just should be the norm. You know, you have this big career that is requiring you to work more hours than a day than maybe you have. Then, you know, leave it to an expert to help you with planning your exercise and planning your meals. There's a lot of meal delivery services, or there's different things. There's so much out there to help that you don't need to do it alone. And there's a cost to those services, but there's a huge cost to constantly putting it on the back burner, putting your health on the back burner. So that's the key point. Yeah, it's about leaning on expert, going and organizing the life and putting the goals in place that are very much reasonable, so that you can see little progresses. But like I talk about little changes, like many little changes that got me where I am. But if you think in hindsight, where I was in June to where I am today, 8 months will go by no matter what. And you know, it didn't take me 8 months to start feeling good. The worst ones were like the first 3 months. And there was this quote that I saw online that says like that it basically takes 4 weeks for you to notice any change, but it takes 12 weeks for others to notice, something along that line. And that's what kind of kept me going. Okay, I need to do this for 12 weeks. And first it was like, oh my God, 12 weeks is long. It will go by no matter what. One of my former colleagues and a good friend now, I remember she said that in the context of education, saying, oh, well, I think her husband, I got a master's degree. And they said, well, that time's going to go by anyway. So I might as well make the best out of it and get a master's out of it. So kind of the same concept here is thinking like that time will go. So where do you want to be, or wouldn't you just want to be a bit more ahead in 3 months or 12 weeks? So I remember and I broke it down and was saying, okay, in 6 weeks is feasible, 6 weeks, a month and a half. And then at that point I was halfway to that 12 weeks. And sure enough, when I hit that 12 weeks mark, I had seen results, and then those results then were motivating me to continue, and to keep at it. And like I felt so much better. I got over the hump of, exercising feels like horrible because I'm so out of shape and da da da. Another thing on the goals, I'm sorry to loop back, is really like comparing yourself to yourself. We're all different. We're all coming from a different point. And that's what's hard for me. Like in a group environment has been challenging for me, like a group environment on nutrition or on exercise. Cause I'd always kind of like, I'm like, oh, it should be easier for me to do this yoga pose because, everyone else can do it. And why not? Like me, I might as well just quit while I still have my dignity. But, realistically, goals are very individuals.
Yeah, because you said results. Like you're always checking on your results as you keep going on, and also not comparing to other people. How do you then, how do you measure your own success? Like how do you, is there a metric you're using, or is it just like a feeling you have? Like how do you measure that?
Yeah, both. And I feel like that for me was critical, like in the whole thing, is to really being able to reflect and seeing progress. I strongly recommend taking pictures, even though it's awful. It's awful to take those beginning pictures, but know that it doesn't matter. Like I took mine and I put them in the folder in my phone. It says private, and if anybody takes it. But I'm so grateful I have those pictures now and throughout the journey, because when there is so many ups and downs, weight loss is not linear. It's not constantly going down, or, you'd have I'd have great days where I saw movement on the scale or changes in the measurements. And I really recommend both, by the way, like measuring different parts on your body, like your bust and your stomach and hips and so on. Because sometimes when you have progress, you may not have progress on the scale, but you may have it in your measurements. So it's very important to do as much as possible. I did pictures monthly, and I feel that was frequent enough. I wish I had done videos from the onset, because videos, they can capture a little bit more of like the changes, because month to month is hard to see. But I mean, as people can see with my progress pictures 8 months in, it's pretty dramatic, like the change. So definitely set yourself up for success and do those. And the metrics, it's hard to know what to expect. Like, this is the results I got. That doesn't mean that if you're, your situation, you're not hitting the same kind of results or losing as quickly. It's okay. Progress is progress. And depending if you're doing a lot of exercises at once, that will pan out. But it's, I think for me, like, it was extremely important to see progress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 'Cause you're measuring your success and your progress with it. And that kind of flows into the motivation aspect, because as you're documenting this, it may seem tough to take these pictures in the moment, but looking forward down the road, that'll be what's motivating you to keep it going. So you don't give up on it, and you keep moving forward with it.
Yeah, and now I'm hoping it motivates others too. But and I talk about the like what's like the metrics, but how you feel, because you mentioned that, like how you feel. I wish I had documented that way better, like either like just kind of like a journal or something, because when you start feeling it, it's like, and then like the different degrees. Like some of it is like, I'm not as exhausted going up the stairs, and I'm not, sometimes it's small changes, but you feel and you see yourself getting better. And again, that goes back to like you having more freedom and more interest in doing things. And just overall, like feeling more confident and hopeful about life in general. I mean, these are huge pieces. And like I use my treadmill a lot, and when I realize like how much, and it again very like fairly quickly within 3-4 months, and then 5-6 months you even see more. I was like, oh my god, I could have never done that before. To go from not moving and like being kind of out of breath going up the stairs to being able to run for like 20-30 minutes without feeling like super out of breath, like it's huge. And those are like important things to track as well.
It's like all these little victories add up to the big one.
Absolutely.
Which I guess like you don't really, does it change like the main goal? Like does it change throughout the process? Like what you thought you were, like obviously you're doing it for better health at the start, but like was there a point maybe like 6 months in where you're like, okay, like my motives are kind of changing now?
Yeah, for sure. And I'm kind of at this stage right now of kind of reflecting, okay, well, what are my goals? Because exercise, for example, was about, okay, I need to get back in shape. I need to get back to, need to lose weight to support my fitness, my health goals. But now I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, so I wouldn't say that I've like 100% accomplished, but I'm very well along in it. So it's, thinking about, okay, well, where do I want to take it? And it has to change because your body's adapting. So same with nutrition, unfortunately, like, there's these famous plateaus, which I'm struggling with right now. So your body constantly adapts. And then like, as you're like, okay, I got this, things have been going well. It's like, okay, well, now what? So like, my heart rate would go up much faster before. Now it's kind of like it requires more, so you need to constantly be changing your goals. And right now, like I'm really enjoying the fitness aspect and seeing how I can improve that sense. Before it was more about general health and so on. So yeah, they always change, but it's important to relook at them for sure. And health is still the main goal for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, like that.
That will never change.
The long-term goal stays,
Yeah.
but you have all these like short-term goals that keep interchanging.
Yeah, and I mean, as I'm reaching some of the milestones and goals, definitely needing to check in on them.
Yeah, like how you said measuring your success based on how you feel, like month to month, because you experience that heavy too with just the migraine aspect of it too.
Yeah.
Like that's a big.
Yeah, the migraines. So when I started in June, my mindset was I need to be healthy in every sense of the word. So that meant tackling my migraines, which had gotten to be very debilitating. And then when I found out that they were muscular, it was a huge relief because there was treatment for it. Seeing physio, chiropractor, doing exercises to straighten the back, frequent exercise and so on. So that's because I know that if I don't manage that aspect, that I won't, like, it's going to be a challenge to maintain or to keep chasing my health and fitness goals, because it takes so much room. So I'm a very strong believer, and I think this will probably come up again, is people do well if they can. If if your circumstances are that you're dealing with any kind of chronic pains, inflammation, anything like that, then it's important to take a look at the source, or at least try and look into it, because while you may be struggling with weight loss, these things are likely getting in the way. for, all the reasons, if you could just lose weight and be healthy, you would. So I think it's important to be kind to yourselves. I'm sure you've heard that before, but just, it's not because you don't want to. It's not because you're lazy. It's not because you're incapable of doing it. It's because stuff is getting in the way. So maybe just taking a bit of time to say, okay, what's getting in the way? Like today I told myself I was going to be better than yesterday and do little changes. And that didn't happen. It's not a failure, but like, why didn't it happen? What got in the way, and what can you kind of like organize in a very simple manner that can then give you like make room for that? Because before, and what was really hard, and like I had so much shame attached to my weight, and it wasn't until the fall. So I would say like I was about 4 months into this journey before I could actually let go of that shame. And I did seek out support from a counselor through the employee assistance program that I have at work. And again, like if you have these services through work, you have benefits, coverage, like use them for your well-being. They're there for that. It's important. But I did, like, what my problem was is that, okay, I would hit these milestones, and I think at that point I'd lost 40 pounds, and 40 pounds is pretty significant. Why can't I be proud? But I kept holding on to the fact, of the fact that I had let it go on so long, and like I was ashamed of the fact that I went to 265 pounds, and that. But then through the conversations that I had. And I realized, and that's how I feel about people. People do well if they can. And then I flipped that around and I thought about this. Like I applied it to myself too. I'm like, okay, well, I did the best I could. I had migraines and inflammation due to my gluten intolerance and so on. I was a mom, a career, like I had my career going on. I did the best I could. So I'm sure everyone listening right now, you're doing the best you can. So please, like, take a bit of time and try to figure out what's getting in the way, and sometimes small changes can make the whole difference.
Yeah. And too, like, if you keep thinking back to that, like how like, why did I wait so long? Yada, yada. Like putting yourself down is also setting yourself back. So if you want to stop setting yourself back, then you just got to stop putting yourself down in the moment.
Because you need to build confidence. And that's what's hard, because you're in a cycle of, you want to better yourself, feel better, look better, and so on. Then you need confidence to do that. But then, like, it's kind of like this chicken and egg situation where you're chasing this confidence, but you need the confidence to chase it.
Right. Do you feel like you found that?
I think so. And I think that was a big moment in my journey to let go of that shame. There's no shame. Like, whatever happened to get you to your point, to whatever situation you're in now, it is what it is. And I think there's no point, like, to kind of your comments, like, there's no real benefit to understanding, to like dwell on it. It's important to understand why. Like, I think for me, like, why I got there, and that is how, because of my logical mind, that is how I kind of like I was able to let it go and then start feeling pride. Like when I hit 50 pounds, it was like, oh wow, like I hit 50 pounds. Every milestone was different. Like 80 pounds was like, well, that's the whole person,
What's the next milestone?
That's an interesting question, because right now, and when people are asking me, like, what's your goal? And I say it's kind of a moving target, because I do exercise a lot and so on. I don't know, like, in terms of how much weight to lose, I don't know what's the end goal. I'm not chasing a number, because I think I'll know when I get there. But, like, I'm taking it. I've always been like 5 pounds per 5 pounds. And, so yeah, I do think there's still more to go, but it's definitely going a lot slower now, which is okay. And I had to adjust that mindset too, of like, what's my goals? Because I was used to getting into losing 2-3 pounds a week. And now, I'm lucky if I lose one pound. But the thing is, it's relative to where I'm at as well. So I don't know what the next milestone
I didn't know, like, is that a normal thing for it to wait to get off slower now?
I
Or is that
think
just your
so.
experience?
From my who I consulted and stuff, but it's also like I said, your body gets used to things. So now I'm having to kind of like change things up, and I'm consulting and getting support again to kind of, okay, how do I go about this? And it's basically for nutrition. It's taking a step back to kind of and trying to sort it out and how to kind of change things up so that the body starts kicking back into gear. But I think it's also like I have to expect that it's normal at this point in the journey as well. And in terms of goals, well, that pushed me to think about, okay, well, what else is there? Like I said earlier, like the fitness, there's still a lot for me to explore in terms of increasing that. My like how heavy I lift is, there's goals every week or two to go a little bit longer, more reps, more weight, more. So there's a lot of goals, and to me it's important. But the actual amount to lose, I'm not sure. It's a hard shift to be doing, though, because I'm used to getting a lot of satisfaction out of like seeing it go down, and now like sometimes it go up and then it go back down. And it's an adjustment for sure.
Thank you for tuning in to Vitality with Marilyn. Don't forget to join us on social, get involved in our communities, reach out if you have a powerful story to share, or send us a question you'd like answered. Take care for now, and don't forget to choose active, happy, and free.